Starting Roblox as a girl was a mistake, and I learned that fast. See, I started playing Roblox in 2012, but the story that actually matters begins in 2016, because in 2016, I made an account that actually represented me. I joined with zero Robux, default or near default items, and no understanding of how Roblox's social hierarchy worked at that time. I was not trying to be cute, hot, or impressive. I wasn't trying to be an e-girl to get a bunch of attention. I just wanted to play games. And so my avatar looked very default, or what they would call a chestnut hair. I picked girl hair because I was a girl. There was no statement, no political decision behind this. I was just a girl. But I didn't understand that presentation alone would dictate how people treated me as a person. I also didn't understand how Roblox already had an unspoken system for how they treated girls. And I didn't know being poor and female on Roblox was the lowest of the low, apparently. So, the first ever game I played on Roblox was a game called Giant Survival by Build Into Games, we all know as the creators of Pet Simulator. The premise of that game is very simple. I was literally just shooting, and yet immediately attention all of a sudden shifted to me. Oh, hell no! It was not about my gameplay or my score. Literally had nothing to do with the way I was playing the game, where I was missing the giant. Multiple times I would go into the game, I was called ugly, and I was called a stupid avatar simply because I used free items, which does not make any sense to me. Literally, I didn't even do anything to provoke these people. I didn't interact with anybody. I haven't even provoked anybody or called somebody else stupid. This was my first lesson on how it was like to be a girl on Roblox. That visibility as a girl isn't just there, and it's an invitation a lot for ridicule for a lot of these girls. So, I assume the issue was the game, right? Maybe it's a boys' game or something, so I left the game and joined a different game, but we ended up with the same result. It was a different lobby, but the same comments of, you're a stupid, you're dumb, you look like poor and washed as a stupid bitch, or you look dumb. And I'm like, what? Because it was the same fixation on my avatar being a poor girl. It was the same dismissal of me in the game. It felt like I couldn't just play the game and something happened. And the same gendered insults. If you notice, guys aren't called but I started noticing a pattern. See, there were boy noobs at that time called bacon hairs, and bacon hairs are even still prevalent to this day. But boys could be bad at the game, boys could be bacon hairs, boys could wear free items, but only girls were humiliated for it in a specific way. See, this wasn't bullying by one person, it was very ambient, this bullying. I would say it would follow me across servers. I would join different varietal games and across genres. I didn't just play these two games. I played Life in Paradise. I played epic mini games. I played Bunny Island. I played a bunch of games that were very popular at that time. Jailbreak, even when that came out, I was right there at the premiere. And I learned that standing still was really dangerous in these games for a dreaded avatar action I call the backshot. See, if your avatar stopped moving and you're just a girl standing there, someone would approach it and they would backshot it, which basically moves forward, moves backwards. W plus S, right? It's like you're humping the avatar and going like, oh man, yeah, let me get some of that action. No. That mimics a very weird behavior, let me just say that. And if you moved away, they act offended as if you ruined their fun. I feel like there should be boundaries. Like, I don't know if it's just me, and it taught me something brutal that when you're a girl avatar, your avatar is not treated like a person. It's treated like gooner bait, which makes no sense. I liked action, survival, and chaos, but liking those genres did not protect me. The worst genre ever was girls versus boy games, because when you would join the girls team, there were like 2 other girls other than you, and then there'd be like 20 boys, so that's often would be just you in these girls versus boy games. So what does this mean? You know what I mean? There's no girls on Roblox compared to boys, because boys gaming is seen as a very inherently masculine hobby, which again isn't a bad thing. I want to stress this, as I did in the last video, that I have nothing against boys whatsoever. Okay? Boys are awesome. My best friends are boys. This is just my experience as a girl, and I'm sure boys also have their own experiences to share about how they are expected to behave, how they are not expected to be emotional, which are just as bad problems. You know? So I don't want to gender war in these comments. But the problem is, you would get instantly targeted by certain people. You'd be spawn killed when you'd go to capture the flag in these games, and there was no gameplay. It was just like you were just killed over and over and over again. It was just like punishment. And the message was clear that you don't belong here. You aren't meant to play these games because it's a masculine hobby. So what was my solution to this, you may wonder? You know, you're a girl, you go in any game, you're called a stupid. You go in other games and you're targeted because these boys versus girls games, you know, you felt it was integral to join the girls team because, you know what I mean, that's only fair, but no, it's not. But there was a false solution to this that I felt would work, and it was hiding as a boy. See, I changed my avatar to be a boy avatar. I talk about this in past videos, but my avatar appeared as a boy for numerous years. I mean, now, my avatar on Roblox is a giant hand. Why? Because people automatically call me he, and that's a good thing because then you're not called she, and stupid insults are thrown at you just because you're a girl. It's a lot harder to play Roblox as a girl than boy because there's not a lot of girls in certain games. Say if I were to play an anime game or a sports games, there's not a lot of girls in those games, so it doesn't make it that fun, and you're kind of seen as an odd one out. So after changing my avatar, I removed my girl hair entirely, removed any trace of me being a girl. I tried to blend in with Roblox's crowd at that time, which was boys. I wasn't questioning my avatar at all, and I wasn't even questioning my gender. I am very secure in my gender as a girl, but I felt that this was more of protecting myself more than anything from the terrible people that would just, you know, target me for no reason, and a lot of girl players still experience this. But presenting as a boy, when I started out, even if it was a bacon hair boy, reduced harassment immediately. You know, you're just called a bacon hair. You weren't called a girl bacon hair or a chestnut hair or something stupid. No, you were just a boy bacon hair, and people actually listened. People respect me, granted not as much. People don't really respect noobs on Roblox, but they still respected me just a little more. And there was no behavior. I wouldn't be backshot in random lobbies. No fixation on me being a girl. I could just play. And that contrast was devastating. In fact, I have a twin sister, and for numerous years, her avatar presented as a boy. It was a black shadow figure, and she would not get these comments that I did. Even though we were the same gender, it was simply because of the presentation. And the problem definitely wasn't my behavior. I was not a toxic player. I would not be like, you suck. I would not be like, yeah, you stink at this game. No, the problem definitely wasn't my behavior. It was my perceived gender. And this is where we descend into the abyss, which is dehumanization at a really big scale. Because exploit culture on Roblox was really, really bad back then when we had a software called Synapse. Synapse was a hacking software on Roblox. But what these hackers would do is they would hijack games, and often female games. We've seen this like female targeted games that would be like cafes, role plays, which are seen as ew, girly cuties, like shut up. But they would force these avatars in these female oriented games into really animations. And in fact, one of the hacks I still remember would be it would turn your avatar into like this twink girl, and it would just make you other people, and it was really, really disgusting. Entire servers were turned into essentially scenes, and especially roleplay games, and especially girl-run games in innocent spaces. For example, games like Life in Paradise and Frappe were targeted constantly, not because they were broken. There was nothing wrong with making Starbucks in a server. Nothing wrong with it. Like, what's the harm in making frickin' Starbucks or making a Frappe? Nothing. But it was simply targeted just because it was a girly game. YouTubers at this time normalized a bullying culture against girls in specific, or even other groups like neurodivergent kids. And unfortunately, being the bulk of this, you start to see that this behavior is not really funny. It's not. When you target specific people who are bullied, all they're going to do is feel resentment further. And the world is crappy enough. Why do we need to make it crappier? I know because I participated in this culture of, oh, someone's cringy, this is Uncanny Valley, I'm gonna bully them and target them. And these YouTubers didn't just raid boys' games. They raided salons, cafes, roleplay schools, and dentist offices. But all of these roleplay games had one thing in common, and these roleplay games, one thing in common was that they were girls' gathering places. This is where girls hung out in Roblox, and when girls hung out in Roblox here, they felt safe welcome and invited because it was around other girls, and girls often don't target other girls. I find if a girl hates you, it's like for a valid reason sometimes, gonna be very honest, or even if it's not valid, it's still kind of, reasonable as a reason. It's not just because you're a girl, it's because you probably did something really bad. But boys would target these Roblox girly roleplay games anywhere they gathered. And the joke was always the same within these girls' Roblox servers. It would be girls are dumb and girls' Roblox games are cringe or the cooties effect. Girls go to Jupiter to get stupider. Boys are so smart, right? It felt like the cheese touch from Diary of a Wimpy Kid, if you guys remember that, where the one kid touched the cheese and all of a sudden nobody wanted to be around him because he touched the cheese. But the difference is I didn't touch no cheese on the playground, and I'm sure a lot of girls didn't touch no moldy cheese that some kid left behind on the playground. No, and this is not a gender war. I'm going to repeat this again. This comment section should not be a gender war. This isn't about boys being evil inherently, because they aren't. And this is about systems rewarding cruelty. Again, like I said, boys have their own experiences that they need to go through that are really terrible. They're expected not to be emotional, and the entire system pits genders against each other. And when you're a girl Roblox noob, it stinks because communities are never taught empathy towards girl Roblox noobs or even noobs in general. It's about girls being treated as objects and even children. This is the part that disgusts me. I'm like, why would you treat a child Roblox avatar, which is most of the people on Roblox are children? I don't care what anybody says, but most people on Roblox are children. They are treated. And here's the turn. I found power in girls' communities. Girls helped me. Girls explained mechanics when I was a girl Roblox noob that a lot of boy Roblox communities would not want to explain. For example, one game they'd want to explain that, here's how you pass the ball. You press this button. But let's rewind back. We're going to rewind back to this. I felt that starting Roblox as a girl in specific felt like a mistake. First off, because it was painful, it was unfair, and because it cost me innocence that I didn't want to lose at that time, literally being a child. But I feel like it gave me clarity, it also gave me purpose, and it shaped my career in community management, which I was able to do Roblox full-time for girl spaces now, which I'm so grateful for. Especially in girl-focused spaces, I understand that safety, protection, and feeling belonging matters. Improvement on these spaces does not mean it's done, okay? I don't think that sexism will ever be a problem alleviated ever, and that's fine. We will not have a utopian world, but sharing your story in the comments super matters. And I got so many of those in the last video, and I tell you, I looked at those comments and I cried because that means more to me than any other money could ever give me. The fact that my space on my channel is welcoming for these girls and we can all relate in the same experiences, and boys, you can even relate to these experiences. I'm sure you relate to how it feels to be left out. But I don't think I started Roblox wrong by just being a noob girl. I think Roblox wasn't ready for girls at that time, and it's about time that changes.